Sonic 3 is on its way, and to get in the mood, it's time for you to watch a full recap with spoilers of one of the latest releases featuring the world's most famous hedgehog, Sonic Prime. Welcome to Cine lovers! In this video, I'll tell you everything about the first season. Let's dive in! Starting with episode 1, where everything kicks off in Green Hill, a seemingly peaceful town. But soon enough, Sonic shows up speeding through the area to join his team, Amy Rose, Tails, Knuckles, and Rouge, as they try to stop Robotnik from taking the Paradox Prism. That's where an epic battle begins. In the middle of all the chaos, Sonic collides with the Prism, causing a massive explosion. This sends the blue hedgehog through space and time, landing in what looks like Green Hill, but the place is completely different, sad, and gloomy. As usual, Sonic finds himself in trouble, with a bunch of sinister robots chasing him. These robots are part of the Chaos Council, and another fight breaks out. It's worth noting that Sonic is the only one who traveled through time. After this scene, the show flashes back to before Sonic's time travel moment. This series jumps back and forth a lot. Sonic and his team are battling Robotnik, who is controlling a massive suit of armor. He taunts Sonic, but Tails quickly realizes it's a trap. Robotnik isn't actually in the suit. It's all part of his elaborate plan. Tails, frustrated by being deceived, has a heart-to-heart with Sonic. Together, they figure out that Robotnik used Sonic to harness some of his power to reach the Paradox Prism. That's when Robotnik heads into the cave, tying back to the opening scene of the episode. Back to the present, with Sonic in this weird version of Green Hill, he starts searching for Robotnik, although in this series, they call him Dr. Eggman instead of Robotnik. Sonic encounters a giant robot baby that attacks him, sparking yet another fight. When Sonic defeats it, it turns out there's an actual baby piloting the robot, a baby that looks just like Robotnik. And this is where things get wild. The multiverse comes into play. Rouge and Knuckles appear, but they aren't the same ones Sonic knows. These versions are rebels who want to overthrow Robotnik as well. When they spot Sonic, they don't recognize him at all. Things are just getting started. Things just keep getting crazier. Now Sonic meets Tails, who in this universe is called Nine and has 9 mechanical arms, looking like some kind of mechanical spider. Nine starts fighting Sonic, who has no idea what's going on. To Sonic, this guy is totally nuts. While Spider Tails is going all out against Sonic, Sonic tries to explain that in another universe, they're actually friends and begs him to stop attacking. At one point, a train almost hits Nine, but Sonic saves him. Because of that, Tails, now Nine in this universe, chills out with Sonic. Not long after, the Chaos Council captures Sonic. He ends up restrained in a scene that's super reminiscent of The Incredibles, where Syndrome traps Mr. Incredible. While captured, Sonic discovers that one of Robotnik's henchmen is none other than Amy Rose, though in this universe, she goes by Rusty Rose. If you thought things couldn't get any crazier, think again. 5 people show up alongside Robotnik, and they all look almost identical to him. Apparently, they're not his family, or so Robotnik claims, but who knows if that's true. They have a chat with Sonic and put him through a test to see how strong he is. Sonic passes with flying colors, becoming so powerful that he overloads the machines, causing them to explode. After the blast, he ends up back in normal Green Hill, returning to the opening scene of the episode. And then, out of nowhere, Shadow shows up and punches Sonic in the face. That's the end of episode 1. Episode 2 kicks off with Shadow wrecking everything. Speaking of Shadow, he's going to stir up some chaos in the next Sonic movie. To find out everything that's been leaked, click the card to check it out. Back to the punch scene. Sonic and Shadow start talking and then break out into a fight. Returning to the present, there's a flashback showing how the once beautiful Green Hill turned into what it is now. Meanwhile, Knuckles and Rouge from this universe are looking for Sonic so they can team up to save the city. Sonic gets captured by the Chaos Council again, this time with Tails as their hostage. Just when all hope seems lost, Rouge and Knuckles storm the place, leading to another battle. They manage to rescue Sonic, but not for long, as the evil Rose grabs him again, and that's how the episode ends. In the third episode, Nine managed to alter Rusty Rose's settings, turning her into a good character who no longer attacked Sonic. The fight continued, with the robots advancing more and more. Meanwhile, Robotnik and the group of lookalikes went into hiding. Now, Sonic teams up with his crazy little crew, who are actually from other universes, not the ones he knows, to search for the Prism, and some amazing action scenes start unfolding. One particularly awesome moment is when the robots are firing, and Sonic effortlessly dodges dodges the shots and even blows up the robots. Shortly after, Sonic and Nine manage to reach the prism. Sonic remembers that when he came into contact with the prism in the first episode, he opened the multiverse. The prism they had just found was only a fragment of a whole, and they still needed to find the remaining pieces. Sonic touches the prism and is sucked inside, being teleported and leaving Nine and the rest of the team behind, just like at the beginning. End of episode 3. Episode 4 begins in a forest with Rouge, Knuckles, and Big the Cat. Out of nowhere, Sonic appears in this world. The people in this universe are starving and have to share whatever food they can find. However, this Knuckles and Rouge who meet Sonic are from yet another universe and don't know him, so once again, they end up fighting. Shortly after, Tails shows up in this version as an angry-looking fox called Mangy. Desperate to find the prism again, Sonic asks if they know where it is, the shiny thing, as he describes it. Nobody seems to know, but Rouge pretends she does. She tells Sonic that if he distracts or defeats the monster, there will be more food for everyone, and then she'll take him to the prism. Sonic naively believes her and goes after the monster. Sonic finds a giant pink bird and fights it, thinking it's the monster, but he soon discovers the real monster is Amy Rose in a new version called Thorn Rose, who ends up giving Sonic quite a beating. Sonic tries to explain that they're friends and that he doesn't want to hurt her, but she doesn't care and keeps fighting even harder. Eventually, she calms down and agrees to help Sonic find the prism, which he also calls a fragment, but only on the condition that he leaves afterward. They arrive at the Big Green, which is a beautiful palm tree, and next to it lies the green piece of the prism buried in the ground. Sonic picks it up, but Amy betrays him, snatches it away, and punches the hedgehog. That's how episode 4 ends. By the way, I'm working on a video about the complete story of Amy Rose. Once it's ready, I'll add it here in the card. Episode 5 begins with Sonic remembering a moment when the real Amy Rose was talking to him about the memories the tree holds, something that turns out to be important. Back to the wild Amy Rose, she's now determined to destroy Sonic, and after that, to go after Knuckles and Rouge. Thorn Rose sets off to find them, but Sonic tries to stop her. We then see a flashback of Rouge explaining how everyone used to live in harmony until Thorn Rose suddenly went rogue, banishing everyone from the forest and claiming everything for herself. Sonic gathers everyone to have a talk with Thorn Rose to work things out. After much effort, they manage to resolve their differences, and everything seems fine. Soon after, Sonic accidentally touches the green prism and is sent through the multiverse once again, landing back in Green Hill, which is now overrun by robots. And that's the end of episode 5. In episode 6 of Sonic Prime, the story shifts back to the world where Knuckles and Rouge are rebels fighting against Robotnik and his robots. A new battle begins. Sonic tells Knuckles that he's been traveling through space and time thanks to the prism fragment. However, this conversation is being secretly recorded by Rusty Rose, who has returned to being evil. Rusty takes the video to Robotnik and his crew of lookalikes. Now Robotnik wants to conquer not just the world but the entire multiverse, collecting all the prism fragments to achieve his goal. Rouge explains that Nine, who is Tails, stole the pink prism right after Sonic got sucked into it. Rouge and Knuckles want to defeat Robotnik because he destroyed all the greenery in the city and left everything in ruins, while Sonic wants to stop him because they've been rivals for ages. Both sides are after the prism. In the middle of the battle, Tails shows up in a ship, picks up Sonic, and the two travel through the multiverse. Sonic insists they need to go back to the fight, but Nine refuses, so Sonic decides to return alone. The battle resumes, Nine eventually joins in, and another round of chaos ensues. End of episode 6. In episode 7, Sonic moves so fast that he accidentally ends up in another universe. He lands on an island where Knuckles, Amy, Tails, and Rouge are pirates. They clash at first but quickly make peace, and Sonic joins their crew. Knuckles is the ship's captain, and they throw a party to celebrate their new crewmate. The next day, Sonic mentions needing to find another prism fragment to return home, which angers Knuckles. The fragment is located in a dangerous place where Knuckles nearly lost his life before. Shortly after, Knuckles' old crew, who also suffered during that failed attempt to get the fragment, rebel against him and attack the ship. Sonic steps in and sends them running. Following this, Sonic becomes the ship's captain because Knuckles is too too scared. Out of nowhere, Rusty Rose from another universe appears with an army of robots on a ship, and a massive naval battle begins. That's the end of episode 7. Moving into the 8th and final episode, the naval battle continues. Knuckles abandons the ship, leaving his crew behind. Sonic delivers a motivational speech, and Knuckles regains his courage and returns. Meanwhile, as the ship starts sinking, the crew manages to repair it surprisingly quickly and set off after Rusty Rose, who has taken her robot-filled ship to pursue the Prism. At the same time, robots from another universe have captured 9. Back to the ships, Sonic speeds up his cruise ship so much that they manage to overtake Rusty Rose. Sonic even ran on water using special shoes, such an epic moment. Meanwhile, Sonic's crew starts throwing a ton of hot dogs, called sea dogs in this universe, onto the other ship, causing the robots to slip and fall overboard. Then, Sonic faces off against Rusty Rose in battle. Knuckles goes after the Prism fragment, and Tails delivers an electric shock to Rose, defeating her for good. At the same time, Knuckles is climbing a mountain while fighting off a bunch of robots to get to the fragment. Knuckles finally grabs it, but as they're falling, Sonic swoops in, saving both Knuckles and the fragment. However, as the fragment touches Sonic, it accidentally sends him into the space-time continuum. There, Sonic meets Shadow again and says he just wants to go home. Shadow responds, "Your home doesn't exist anymore, thanks to you," and punches Sonic once more. The series ends right there, leaving a massive cliffhanger for the second season, especially since there wasn't a real conclusion. Before I go, I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas. May it be a blessed time filled with health, peace, and joy. Merry Christmas, everyone! If you're a Sonic fan like me, don't forget to check out these 2 videos I made about Sonic, with lots of love just for you. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next video here on Cine Lovers.